Hello Tech fans, this is SileTech here, and today I'm going to ask whether Mac OS X Snow Leopard is obsolete in 2018. So let's start out with the category web browsing. So the web browser situation on Snow Leopard isn't great or horrible. We have a choice of basically 4 web browsers. Really, there are some other oddballs that are usually outdated as well, but these are the specs of my computer that I'm running right now. This is a late 2007 MacBook running with 4 gigabytes of RAM and 2.2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo processor, Mac OS 10.6.8. So we have the choice of 3 browsers that really work. Safari I'll get into after these 3. So let's start out with Firefox. So Firefox is the most up-to-date web browser you can get for this machine, and it actually does work pretty well. So most websites, including YouTube, do load just fine right here on Firefox. If I go to html5test.com to check the HTML5 test, it scores 461 out of 555, and that's about the same as some of the newer in like kind of beta web browsers. I believe Safari has about that much, the current version, because Safari seems to be behind in there. So now we're going to look at Google Chrome, the second most up-to-date web browser, only a couple of weeks earlier. Firefox is 2 years old today, and Google Chrome was released earlier in April of 2016, and Firefox in August. And so we have the computer is not going to receive updates, though this version of Chrome works completely fine. It if you want to know, scored scores in HTML5 test. Let's wait for this to load. 489 out of 555 points, which is a bit more than Firefox's 461. So most websites should load just fine in these 2 web browsers. There's one other web browser that also works, not quite as well, but it does work. It is Opera, which is not my favorite web browser. This is actually one of my least favorite versions of this web browser. It's just I have the this is Opera. It was released in 2014, and if I go to .com, I go to html5test.com. On here we have 443, which is still not that bad, considering that some newer web browsers have about the same score. So it looks like Firefox, Chrome, and Opera could be usable web browsers in 2018. Now, how about Safari? So if I go into Safari, I don't usually use Safari anyway, but even like the preloaded Apple page, which I hate that they preloaded in the early versions of Safari like this, I usually don't want to go to apple.com. Sorry, Apple, but I don't. Already it's really distorted, and like even if I Google search something like this, you see you're using the old version of Google. It's for like the version of Google for legacy browsers. So we have our old style tab bar, which was a lot of scrolling. that's one of the reasons why I don't use Safari. But a lot of websites don't work properly. This is like or show an older version of the website, but let's look at but HTML5. If I go to html5test.com, it is very, very low when you look at 224 points, and this is Safari 5.1.10. I'm not using Safari 5.1.9. Using Safari 5.1.10 on macOS 6. Anyway, this does, but pretty much, it can, all these browsers, Chrome and all that stuff, can play YouTube, including Safari. If I search for my channel, it's pretty sluggish, but it does sort of work if you really needed to. It does play YouTube videos.
Tech here, and I'm so excited to show you this because...
But full screen does not work, and YouTube is very slow. So, I would not recommend using this web browser. But Opera, Firefox, and Google Chrome, which most people don't use Safari anyway, so those three web browsers work just fine. So I just go into my right here and say that this, I'm gonna say that these pass, and these pass, but web browsing, all in all, passes. So, Snow Leopard is still a good enough browser if you only need to do that. So, if we look at iTunes, however, let's launch iTunes. iTunes works completely fine if you want to just play music and nothing else, but if you want to sync your iPhone, it has to be running iOS 8, iOS 7, iOS 6, iOS, etc., but it can't run iOS 9 or newer. This version of iTunes is in fact iTunes 11.4, copyright 2014, and it is pretty outdated version of iTunes, but it does still work. I mean, I'm using it right now, so it does still work. I don't know why this keeps happening with my window and dock list. So I'm going to give iTunes a pass because it works fine for playing music. I can even get into the iTunes store and sign in. It does not support family sharing, so some people will not find iTunes good enough, but some people will find it just fine if they just want to use it for listening to music, and buying music does also work. So now let's go to iLife. I actually don't have iLife installed, but I do know that iLife 11 works fine. So I'm going to say that iLife is a pass. So I'm going to pass right there, and then the fan is going pretty loud there. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why. It's just the fan goes really loud on this computer. But so the next category is going to be Office Suite, such as Word or Pages and stuff. For some people, iWork 09 is going to be fine for them. However, for some people it's not. I actually have iWork 08 on here, which is horrifically outdated. iWork 09 is from 2009, and so iWork 09, I'm going to give iWork iWork 09 right here a pass, and then Microsoft Office 2011 released in 2010, which is still getting security updates. I don't get why a word processor would get security updates. It does pass as well. And so this does. And also OpenOffice, which also works fine, so I'm going to give that a pass as well. So I'm going to give Office Suite a pass. And just show you, you can download OpenOffice 4.0.1, released 2013, so it is outdated, but it seems to work just fine in pretty much everything I've tried. So next thing is coding programs, plain text, one that might not matter to you as much, but it does matter to some people. So first of all, we have Python 3.6.4, which is 2017, I think, like less than 1 year ago, so pretty new. So I'm going to launch that real quick. So we have idle, and it seems to work just fine to do stuff. Now next we have Text Wrangler 4.5.12, released 2014, 4 years ago. So, but Text Wrangler is not that big of a program, so Text Wrangler seems to work just fine in pretty much everything I have done it. It's too bad that Visual Studio Code is not supported and never was, but Text Wrangler is pretty cool. Visual Studio Code isn't supported, but this is okay. So so as you can see, it is from 2014, and it does seem to work just fine with most things I have put at it, so I'm going to close it. So next and then I'm going to do the text for Chrome, which is a Chrome extension that's pretty awesome, and the latest version of the Chrome extension, even though not the latest version of Chrome, is available. Startup text right here requires Chrome as a helper tool. It is really slow, and that's why that's not my favorite Chrome. It's not my favorite text extension, but it does work, and it is pretty cool. And so text does work, and so I'm just going to close that up. But I'm going to give plain text encoding a pass, so I'm going to pass that. And it doesn't really matter since Terminal has not changed at all since then, but Terminal 2.1.2, released in 2009, was the last version of Terminal available. Most people are not going to care as much as they will with other types of coding, but Terminal does work, and so I'm just going to give this a pass. It's really too bad Visual Studio Code doesn't work, but it does. But it is okay because this is an old operating system. No denying that. So next, Multimedia /video. So that one we have QuickTime Player 10.0 released 2010, which is what I'm using to record this video, and it seems to work just fine. So VLC, I mean, Qt Player, so if I go into, but as you can see, VLC Media Player can see my audio. This is a very new version, but it's not the latest. So, so this audio recording.mov file.
This is a test that I'm doing right now so that I can test whether VLC Player works.
So if you didn't hear that, that does work. So I'm able to play that in there. So Visual Studio Code, VLC does work, and if I open up that same file in, here, see music,
This is a test that I'm doing right now so that I can.
and it seems to work just fine. So now that we have now if we go back to here, and there's one more that I'd like to mention, which is DVD Player 5.4 released 2009, but there really can't be anything wrong with a DVD player as long as it decodes DVDs, and it does. So I'm going to pass that. VLC, excuse me again. Right here, but there's one other one that I'd like to talk about that's kind of weird, but it is something. It's called UView, which is a very old program that is neglected and hardly used at all, that allows you to play YouTube videos. So it's really deprecated, but it does still work. If I search my other channel, Silabrix, I am able to play videos. As you can see, it does start playing the video.
Hello, Silabrix fans.
And that's what it used to sound like. Oh my goodness. And then it does work. So important thing I just noticed about this is that the thing about Snow Leopard is that emoji lovers, you're going to hate this. There are no emojis in Snow Leopard. None. Apple did not incorporate emojis until macOS X Lion. So no emojis, emoji lovers. I'm very sorry, but no. So I'm going to give all these a pass. I'm going to give multimedia/video a pass. Exclamation. So email/chat. So built-in mail client 4.6. So we have our mail right here. So the main thing I use this for is, I don't really use this program all that much, but I am able to look at my Apple Newsroom, the RSS feed. It does work, and I'm able to use Gmail. And so now we can actually still see right here sometimes it seems like not to be rendering it correctly in this little preview, but it's just this does work. Apparently it's not rendering it correctly here, but Mail does work, but however, iCloud Mail does not. So I'm going to just give that a pass. Even so, iChat 5.0.3 as a chat program right here is iChat. You're going to like iChat lovers. You're going to love this. Anyway, so I'm gonna go. Like, remember iChat, the good old days, I guess, of iChat. I was unable to actually use iChat for anything at all. So I'm going to give iChat a complete and total fail. A complete and total fail because it doesn't work, basically. I guess you could get it to work, but only for Google Talk accounts. I don't think anybody has one of those. I guess some people have one of those, but I don't think anybody uses it, or very few people use it. So I'm going to give it a complete and total fail. Microsoft Outlook 2011, which was released in 2010, 8 years ago, but is still receiving security updates. Also does work. I don't have it installed, just like I don't have Word installed. And but I know that that's going to be a pass for most email accounts. All web-based email and chat will work in the browser, so that makes it so that email and chat gets a pass. Because you can go to iCloud.com, gmail.com, and all, and really just makes it a lot easier, and really just, and it really just makes it a lot better to use email and chat on Snow Leopard now. So we have given everything a pass in Snow Leopard, web browsing, but so I think you could totally still use Snow Leopard. There are some limitations because I forgot to mention that Skype is a complete and total fail. Is going to be a complete and total fail if I had Skype on this machine. The latest version is really old. Some other apps like Spotify will also work, but it's still a pretty good operating system if you need the bare minimum tasks and even if you need a little bit more than the bare minimum, it's still a great operating system to use on a day-to-day basis. And it's so fast, it's so smooth, and I hope you enjoy this video, and hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.